all of a sudden, we're not saying, oh, our cost per pupil is so high, we have to close the district. No, what we have to do is control our spending. We have to control the spending. And if the best way to do it is to close a school, then that is an option on the table. And I'm not saying, it's out of the question, but what I am saying is that it shouldn't be the first resort. And I do not feel that this was an honest try. And that's my point. There's plenty of other things. And by the way, it's not just comparing a district. It's if you actually compare the staffing in one school with the same population to the same staffing with a school of the similar student population, you will see that the staffing matrix are way off in Timberlane. It's not just from district to district, it's actually per school to per school with the same population. There's a problem in this district that we have not adjusted staff to the falling enrollment, and that is our fundamental structural problem.
Thank you for voicing your opinion. Mr. Appleton has been waiting to speak.
So, can they hear me?
We can, yep.
All right. So Timberlane has a really neat culture where, as a student, you get out what you put in. There's never been any problems with being held back by resources. If a student wants to learn more, if they want to take part in AP, if they want to be involved in sports and music, they have those opportunities.
You're fine, honey. Keep talking.
Because Timberlane has made it possible. We find a way to make it work. And I think that's an amazing thing we have here. I mean, as a student, I've had probably the best high school career a kid could ask for. I mean, I've participated in sports. I've been a part of some really neat things that wouldn't be there if we didn't have this attitude where we can make it work for the kids. Like, I hear stories from other schools where kids can't run track because they don't have uniforms, or the things like that, where it seems like here we take pride in a higher standard. And I think it reflects, when you invest in students, it pays dividends. We come back to the community, we come back, we maybe start a business, teach at the schools. I mean, look at all the examples of people who teach in the buildings. Coach Chuljan, he came to Timberlane, he was able to wrestle and do all these cool things. And look, he came back and he started the most dominant wrestling program in New England. Two of the assistant coaches for football, Coach Brown, Coach Champion, those guys came here and they came back to the community because they had those opportunities. And I think that's a really important thing to keep in the back of your mind when talking about the budget. I mean, you can ask my AP Gov teacher. I'm all about fiscal conservatism. I want to be responsible with the taxpayers' money. But I think that this is one of those situations where investing in the students really can pay off.
It's your future.
Mr. Blair wanted to speak, I believe. Am I correct, Mr. Blair? And then I'll get to you, Mr. Sapien.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question directed at Dr. Metzler. One of the comments that I heard today was that this was the only option looked at. Was this the only option you looked at, or did you look at other options, and based on the other options you analyzed, this is the one you felt was best, so that's why you're presenting this to the board rather than presenting all your options to the board?
That's correct. You got to remember, we cut $1 million before we even got to this school closing. There's the float nurse that we just added that we had to adjust. We can't add that. That's another part of this. Right? That's not in the budget. We're in a default budget. That's not even in this. That's another $100,000. Right? So we looked at all the options. This was the best options. There are positions that have been eliminated. The transformers were pulled out, and a place where we're paying 1.5 times what we're paying, it just doesn't make sense if we're looking for this money. So this is the best way to get to that number for this school district.
Mr. Sapia, I know you were waiting to speak. I'm going to let you speak. And then I'd like to wrap this discussion up. We can discuss whether we're going to take action or not, but if we are going to take action, then I suggest we do so, and if we're not, then I think we've really exhausted the discussion. I'm not looking to keep anyone from voicing any further opinions, I just don't know how much new there is to bring to the table. So keep that thought in mind if you're thinking of raising your hand to speak. Mr. Sapia?
Yeah, I'd like to say, Luca, you're a well-spoken young man. And I think that's partially attributed probably because of your parents, but also probably because of the student-to-teacher ratio we currently have, so, nice job. Class size, excuse me. And I think you deserve, as I know many of the students in this school, the absolute best we can afford, okay? I think that there were many things unaddressed by the Budget Committee. We have failing facilities, we have certain departments that are understaffed, but because they were asked to level fund, they did not ask for what they need. One of those gentlemen sitting in the room right now. And so they went ahead, and there were many things, numbers play funny games, but the Budget Committee, and I watched every meeting twice, those questions were never asked. The questions were never, if we don't invest in some of the facilities now, it is going to come back and bite us later on. If we don't invest in these students now, these are the same students that are going to be running our nursing homes, our government, our 401Ks. They deserve the best they can get. And I can't believe we're squabbling over a couple million, but there will be consequences, and I just wish the Budget Committee had a needs-based budget instead of coming up with a number and sticking with it.
Thank you, Mr. Sapia. I'd like to entertain a motion, if anyone would like to make one, to support the superintendent or not in this budget.
I make a motion to support the superintendent and give him a vote of confidence in moving forward with his proposed number, meeting the number of the Budget Committee of $67,400,000, and what is it, $67 off the top of my head.
Did you get that, Mrs. Smith?
No, you say it again?
Come on. I'd like to make a motion to have the superintendent propose the new budget to the Budget Committee.
To support the superintendent in this, that's what you
There you
said the
go.
first time.
Thank you.
To support the superintendent in moving this proposed budget forward.
There we go.
So a motion on the floor, Mr. Buelow?
Second?
All right, I have a second. If there is nothing new to bring to this discussion, I would like to move the question. All in favor of the motion? Opposed?
Can we have
Mrs.
the count,
Smith, could you
please?
read that aloud?
8 in favor, 1 opposed. Thank you.
Thank you. All right?
Very good, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Administrator's report.